Since I've reviewed some of the films that were adapted from the books of Roald Dahl, including Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or you can accept Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, as well as the two Matilda films, I thought, what the heck, with Wonka coming up, I thought I'd review another film based on one of Roald Dahl's masterpieces. Here's my review of James and the Giant Peach. Big Days in Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1996 musical fantasy animated flick, James and the Giant Peach, released by Disney along with allied filmmakers, directed by Henry Selick, who had recently worked on The Nightmare Before Christmas, based on the 1961 novel of the same name by Roald Dahl. Tim Burry and Denise Donnelly serve as producers, and starred Paul James as the titular character of James, along with Joanna Lumley and Miriam Margoyles, who performs one of the voices of the insect friends of James's, plus Simon Callow, Richard Dreyfuss, Jane Leeves, David Thewlis, and Susan Sarandon. Well, lend their voices, and there's also Pete Postlethwaite as well. This film, unfortunately, didn't do too well at the box office, though. But it did get good reviews, though. So I'll go ahead and give you this whole story. The film was actually released on April 12, 1996 in the US, and then later in the UK on August 2nd of that same year. In the summer of 1948, an English boy named James Henry Trotter, was living a good life with his parents until a vicious rhinoceros had appeared and taken his parents' lives. As you'll see what that is if you've seen it. Now he's a young orphan living with his sadistic and domineering aunts, Aunt Spiker and Aunt Sponge. Yes, and sad after his parents were eaten by a flying rhinoceros on his birthday. Yeah, the story says, according to my source. One day, after rescuing a spider from his hysterical aunts, James obtains magic crocodile tongues from a mysterious old man which have the power to grow anything they come into contact with to colossal size. James, running home, trips and spills the bag onto the ground. The neon worm-like tongues leap away and into the ground underneath an old peach tree, thus growing a massive fruit that Spiker and Sponge exploit as a tourist attraction. At night, James eats through the peach to find a pit with several human-sized anthropomorphic invertebrates. Mr. Grasshopper, Mr. Centipede, Miss Spider, who is the spider he saved prior, Mr. Earthworm, Miss Ladybug, Mrs. Ladybug, my mistake, and Mrs. Glowworm. As they hear Spiker and Sponge searching for James, Centipede cuts the stem connecting the peach to the tree, and the peach rolls away to the Atlantic Ocean. Now, this film is live action and has stop motion animation similar to what was recently used in The Nightmare Before Christmas, which came out almost 3 years prior. The invertebrates fly the peach to New York City with a flock of seagulls, each tied with a string to the peach stem, as James has dreamed of visiting the Empire State Building like his parents wanted to. Obstacles include a giant mechanical shark and undead skeletal pirates in the Arctic Ocean. When the group arrives, they are suddenly attacked by the tempestuous form of the rhinoceros that killed James' parents. James, though scared, gets everyone to safety and confronts the rhino before it strikes the peach with lightning. Yeah. Well, this movie's pretty short, so I've gotten halfway through the story, so I'll go to the ending and tell you how that goes. But anyway, before I start, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. James and the Peach fall to the sea below, landing on the Empire State Building. After he is rescued by firefighters, Spiker and Sponge arrive and attempt to claim James and the Peach. James tells the crowd of his amazing adventure and exposes his aunt's abuses. Enraged, James the aunts attempt to attack him with stolen fire axes, but are scared by the insects and arrested by the police. James introduces his friends to the crowd of onlookers and allows the children to eat the peach. And the was made into a cottage in Central Park where James lives happily with the bugs, who form his new family and also find success and fame in the city. Mr. Stampede runs for New York mayor and is now James' father. Miss Spire opens a club and is his mother. Mr. Earthworm becomes a mascot for a skincare company, and I are James' uncle or cousin, or something like that. Mrs. Ladybug becomes an obstetrician, and James' aunt, and Mr. Grasshopper becomes a concert violinist and James's grandfather, and Mrs. Glowworm becomes the light in the torch of the Statue of Liberty and his grandmother. James celebrates his 9th birthday with his new family and friends. In the story. But there's a post-credit scene shows a kid playing an arcade game called Spike the Ants, which involves the rhinoceros hitting the ants in the rear. And that's the end. So what did I think of James and the Giant Peach? I'm going to say it's a pretty good movie. I haven't watched it for some time, but I revisited the film on Disney Plus, and it's still as good as I remember. It's kind of a little scary in some parts, maybe not a whole lot, but it's still a pretty good film, though. Now, this had been wanted to be a film since the early 80s at Disney's Animation Studios, and Joe Ranft tried to convince the staff to produce a film based on this. Well, but they refused, however. But soon, Henry Selick was exposed to the book by Ranft, and, well, he enjoyed the book and thought about adapting it to the screen for several years. But he understood the obstacles doing so and what have you. So, Felicity Dahl, Roald's widow and executor of his estate, began offering film rights to the book in the summer of '92. Among those interested, including Steven Spielberg, who would later go on to work on the film adaptation of Dahl's book, The BFG, which was also released by Disney, along with his Amblin Entertainment Company, and Danny DeVito, who would direct and star in Matilda, another one of Dahl's books. Disney acquired the rights to the book and managed to do it. Apparently, they had Brian Rosen hired as producer for his experience in anime projects like Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, originally, and live-action films such as Mushrooms, and Dennis Potter was hired to write a draft. Well, Rosen described it as slightly black and bizarre, a tone Disney did not approve of, particularly with the sharks being Nazis and what have you. Soon after, once Potter died, Kerry Kirkpatrick and Bruce Joel Rubin came in to write separate drafts, of which Kirkpatrick's was chosen. Unlike the novel, James's aunts are not killed by the rolling peach, though his parents' deaths occur as in the novel, but follow him to New York. The character Silkworm was removed to not overload on the amount of characters to animate. In the book, her purpose was limited to what Miss Spire did in the film, which was to attach the peach to several seagulls during the shark chase. Now, Selick actually approached Elvis Costello, who showed an interest in doing the film, to write 4 songs. Unfortunately, Disney's music division showed no interest in him. Their alarms just went off, and they said, no, that's too weird. Then they suggested Randy Newman as an alternative. So, they got him. But, however, Selick didn't want to use him, only because John Lasseter was already using him for Toy Story, which came out the previous year. And Andy Partridge, the main songwriter from the rock group XTC, originally wrote 4 songs for the film, one of which was very beautiful itself, but was replaced by Newman due to the creative differences between Selleck and Disney regarding the choice of soundtrack composer and the fact that Disney wanted to own the copyright to the songs for perpetuity. Well, that's understandable and what have you. I rarely would talk about how it went into production, but anywho, the film opened alright and what have you, but it lost to the film Primal Fear that was on top. It stayed in the top 10 for the next 5 weeks before it dropped out. The film unfortunately went on to make a worldwide total to $28 million, which against a budget of $38 million made the film a commercial disappointment, or should I say a box office bomb. The film would be well received even more when it got released on video cassette in '96. A Blu-ray DVD combo pack followed in 2010. With its reviews, they were still pretty good, though despite Dahl refused numerous offers to have a film version of the film produced during his lifetime, his widow approved an offer to produce a live-action version, and she thinks Roald would have been delighted with what they did with James. It is a wonderful film. The film currently sits certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes at 91%, saying the arresting and dynamic visuals, offbeat details, and light-as-air storytelling make the film solid family entertainment. Definitely. Entertainment Weekly gave out a positive review praising the animated part, but calling the live-action segments crude. The New York Times called the film a technological marvel, arch and innovative with a daringly offbeat visual conception, and a sternly artful film with a macabre edge. Yeah. So anyway, the film's pretty good and what have you. I mean, if you like the Nightmare Before Christmas now, you'll feel right at home with this since Henry Selick directed this, and that it has stop motion animation just like that film. Now, of course, Randy Newman's score for the film was exceptionally really good, especially a song he contributed to the film, Good News, which of course plays when we see the headlines in the newspapers for the closing credits start to roll. Now then, for our cast, we have Paul Terry playing James himself. I've got to say, this young lad was really, really good. We have Miriam Margoyles playing Aunt Sponge and Joanna Lumley as Aunt Spiker. I gotta say, they are really meanies. Yeah, before we even saw the Dursleys in Harry Potter. Which reminds me, if you don't know, Miriam Margoyles would play Professor Sprout in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets after this. Margoyles also voiced Mrs. Glowworm. Pete Postlethwaite was our narrator and also the Magic Man. The other voices include Simon Callow as Mr. Grasshopper. Richard Dreyfuss voiced Mr. Centipede, while Jeff Bennett did his singing voice. Jane Leeves voiced Mrs. Ladybug. Susan Sarandon voiced Miss Spider, and David Thewlis, who also went on to be a part of the Harry Potter franchise, he played Professor Lupin in Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban. Of course, he would appear in Deathly Hallows as well, I believe. Yeah, I think he was, yeah. Or maybe it was, or was it Half-Blood Prince? Oh dear, I can't remember now. But anyway, so they were all good. Overall, I think James and the Giant Peach was really good. And it was released in '96, the same year we got Matilda. So overall, I think James and the Giant Peach was a good film. There had been talks about another potential remake, but it hasn't happened though. But we'll see what happens in the future. So overall, with everything said, would I recommend James and the Giant Peach? I would say yes, go for it. The film's currently streaming on Disney Plus, so check it out if you don't have it on physical media. But what did you think of James and the Giant Peach? Let me know in the comment section below. If you liked the video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And join me next time when I bring to you a review of Jack Frost. And that would be the 1998 film with Michael Keaton. So if you like this, consider checking out my reviews for these other films. In the upper left-hand corner is my re-review of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The upper right-hand corner is my spoiler-free review of the film adaptation of Matilda, the musical, from last year in 2022. Or if you'd like another of a film that Randy Newman contributed to, that's also a bit buggy, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my review of Disney and Pixar's A Bug's Life. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya!